I'm Micah.
I'm Diana.
And we have a few things to discuss.
Yes, we do.
Yes, we do.
Okay, so today we're going to talk a little bit about relationships.
Love.
And love. That's
Marriage.
like your favorite topic.
I love love.
He loves love. So the idea for today's show and today's topic actually came to me during our recent couples retreat. We hosted our very first Soul Fit couples retreat in Mexico. It was amazing. It was something we'd been thinking about doing for a couple of years. And then in 2024, when we were down in Mexico, we do Thanksgiving in Tulum, Mexico. We've done it now for 6 years in a row. Instead of turkey, we go and have fish tacos for Thanksgiving.
And chicken.
And this was a pattern we started in 2020 during COVID. And that Thanksgiving, we were like, let's just go somewhere. And we went to Mexico that year, and we had such a good time. We were like, oh, we're doing this every year.
Every year.
This is awesome. And so in 2024, when we were there on the trip, we were having this great time. And I kind of woke up it was like 2 or 3 in the morning one time, or one of the nights. And I was like, I think we're supposed to do a couples retreat. And so when I woke up the next day, I was like, I think it's time. We talked about it. It was like, I think it's time. We got to do this. And so we had locked it in. And so instead of actually relaxing the last few days, we were retreat planning, but had such a great time. So it ended up being this really beautiful, amazing event with a small group of couples where we got to go and really just get vulnerable and just dig deeper and help with being able to better communicate with each other, learn each other's stories a little more. And during that retreat, one of the things that I kept kind of thinking about was how often in marriage do we have this thing of there's two sides. This is my side and this is his side. And we think that we're on different sides. And I had this realization that we're on the same side, but we just have two different stories. So it was this thing of the Lord just landed it on me. He was like, there's one side, there's two stories. Mm-hmm. And that's what I want to talk about today.
Yeah, it's powerful. And as you go deeper into this, you're going to totally understand that the two stories really are like two people that more than likely have struggled with some level of trauma. They're not understanding, that are not communicating. We understand in relationships a lot. We've worked with a lot of couples over the years, the way they communicate, or even the way that they go into, we're not encouraging fighting and whatnot, but disagreements happen within marriages,
sure.
All marriages.
Oh, yeah.
But how we communicate and how we react in those disagreements is game-changing one way or the other. It can cause turmoil for days and days and days, and even more, and snowball into a very negative thing. Or if you're communicating properly and you're doing things the right way and you're on the same team, mm-hmm. understanding each other's stories, then you can navigate through that stuff a lot easier.
Yeah, so I wanted to just go into this, that we are actually one side a little bit more just from a scriptural perspective. And it's one of those things that out the gate, you want to read from Genesis, it's like you don't have to get very far in.
You're straight in Genesis 2, but it's also in Matthew, Mark, and Ephesians too. It's kind of replicated in that scripture in the New Testament.
Yeah.
So Genesis 2:24, for this reason a man shall leave his father and his mother and be joined to his wife, and they shall become one flesh.
Yeah. So that's what I was like. And then, like you said, it's repeated again throughout the New Testament of, in marriage, husband and wife, you are one. Mm-hmm. There's nothing that I can find that says that we're two sides. And so that's where I was like, no, this is actually we are one. When you're one, you're on one side. We're not a split, you are one side. So all of this kind of conflict, we're talking about, and when you don't know how to communicate, having gone into just understanding a little bit more of how people's stories and the things that they've gone through, and often just the deeper things that have not been looked at, not been healed, and understanding from a trauma perspective how things that happen in our lives that are rooted, like our responses and the things that we're doing in the present, are all rooted in what we learned, how our brains were wired, usually when we were kids, that cause us to have this is what this means to me. This is what you're saying to me in this moment. And so this is my interpretation, and my fists are going to go up. My, not, I say that like
your
not,
walls go
my
up.
My walls going to go up, and like I'm ready for battle and I'm ready to protect myself. And I don't mean actual physical, we're not talking about getting into physical abusive situations. So I want to make that clear when I say that. But that lack of communication, how often it's rooted in stories that sometimes we don't, they have just been hidden and buried and we don't even know that they're there. But the manifestation of the triggers is still there because they live in our body. They've never been processed. They've never been grieved. And so that root is still there.
When I think about marriage from the very get-go, you meet this person and you fall in love and you're trying to do life together and whatnot. But on that very first day, and the first day I'm talking about is the day that you guys become one in the presence of the Lord, and a covenant. It is a covenant where you guys are equally yoked and you guys become one in God. So what I'm getting to is like, if you're not understanding each other's stories at all, and there's a separation there that could potentially happen, and in this turmoil and this cycle of over and over, and the way that you're communicating, that can really be destructive to, and God does not want that. Like, you are one with Him, yet the way that you're communicating with one another is separating yourself from Him.
Yeah. And what's interesting is, like, when it's your story, like, so because we are all, like, when your story is hardwired in, like, what happened when you were younger, whether it was, sometimes we talk about big T traumas, little T traumas, big T's being sexual abuse, physical abuse, things like that. Little T's being like neglect, not getting the care, not getting the connection that you needed, that causes really disruptive things to happen in your hardwiring as a kid too. So when those things have been untended and you have learned how to, your little body, your little brain has to figure out, how do I become safe? What do I need to think and what do I need to believe that's going to make me safe? We form these things so young that carry on through our whole lives. And for some, they're adaptive until they're not. They help us adapt. They really keep us safe. So there's not shame that they developed. They had to develop that. What kept us alive in some situations. But then as we get into adulthood and we're trying to walk through life with other people, and especially with a spouse who we're in that covenant relationship with, who we're one with, then all of that story stuff that has not been explored, engaged in, that's coming into play, and we're in the present. This story down here is like, this is what's happening, and we're in the present saying, this is what you're doing, this is what I'm hearing. And they're like, but that's not what I'm doing, that's not what I'm hearing, this is what you're doing, this is what you're hearing. And when you have those two stories and not like being able to take a moment back and, regulate the systems, get your body calmed down, and then see, oh, this is not that we are on different sides, but it's that we have two different stories that are both activating here and that are in conflict with each other. I just think it's something so interesting to dig into. And we've seen this in action with some of the couples. Like we have couples come to every retreat, and we've had the opportunity to work with a lot of different ones in different aspects. Sometimes it's their physical fitness, and then sometimes it's just being able to hold story with people and help them to see that there's other things that need to be worked on. And we saw this kind of play out recently with some couples that we were working with, where there was conflict and there was these fightings, and these are people that love each other. Yeah. Like, there's actually a deep love, but they're going in these loops and coming to this same point of disagreement. And thinking that they're on different sides. And as someone looking back and seeing the looping pattern and knowing a little bit, they each had shared a little bit of their stories. When you heard a little bit of the stories, suddenly you see, oh, this is their triggers. They're both going into these triggered states, these triggered responses, and thinking that they're fighting each other. And really it's just it's that deeper root of the stories, and not that there's not stuff going on that is that can be harmful to the relationship, but it's like if we want to get through this, we have to first realize that we're on the same side, that there's a deeper root to this, and it's if they can go in and do the healing on that lower level, that's going to play up into being able to communicate on the higher levels too.
Well, a lot of those decisions that these people may make within a marriage are happening due to stuff that is unhealed.
Yeah.
Like, that's the thing. Like, it's like we're so focused on he's doing this or she's doing this or whatnot, which we are not in agreement of those things that that person is making the choices of if it's hurting the relationship. But at the same time, it typically is always deeper rooted on what in the world, why is that person making those decisions to begin with? That's the question to get curious about.
Yes.
It's not like, hey, well, we got to put a Band-Aid on this thing and figure this thing out because he's or she is drinking too much, or this is going on, or, like, it's always typically more rooted. Why did they turn to that to begin with? That's the bigger question to ask. That's the bigger thing that goes into that. Both sides. And, when someone comes to a couples retreat, yes, it's a beautiful location. There's a vacation aspect to it, but each of those people have also committed to the fact that they're going to step into something because they know, they're like, I want, regardless of where your relationship is at, it could be like you're in turmoil, or, hey, I'm good, but we want to get this to exceptional. Yeah. We want to have some breakthroughs. And so we saw that within, the retreats that we've done over the years. And so when people make that commitment, they're stepping into that, they're getting vulnerable. And then they're like, I've never actually done it this way. Like, I was in a safe place. I was able to communicate. We've seen couples at times get both at triggered states, and being able to like work with them in a triggered state of going, hey guys, it's just questions. It's holding that with them being able to share what they're really feeling inside. And then the other person seeing it and going, oh, wait a minute, this isn't even about that. It's about this 8-year-old little boy that's still struggling inside,
And what's been interesting to me is like how many couples don't actually know their partner's story. And that's not necessarily their fault, because there's stories, that the places of harm that are very fiercely guarded, when they are things that potentially could cause shame, humiliation, embarrassment. And so the walls have been put up around some of those stories to protect. And they think it's protecting, but now it's actually coming between a relationship. So, and I also want to be clear that if there is physical violence, if there's things like that, there are boundaries that need to be put in place. So that is, again, need to be very clear. That's not what we're talking about. But it's you and I, when we first met, you shared one of your deepest parts of your story. You shared about the abuse that you'd gone through with me.
I shared the deepest part that I protected.
Yeah. With me, within like, I don't know if it was 24 hours, but it was pretty close to 24 hours. And that really changed our relationship, because I knew that there was this deeper story. And then over the years, we got, as the writer of your book, of The Breaker, it was really having to go into each element of those stories and more moments that you had gone through, that also helped me to understand more of, your responses, your reactions to things. And same for me too.
The only reason I was able to actually go to that place, though, was because of the question you asked me before it.
Yeah.
And you asked me this question that was like, do you have a relationship with God? Do you know Jesus Christ? And that is what penetrated my heart.
Yeah.
That opened me up, because to that point, I had never had another woman in my life. And I, over the years, had dated nice girls and whatnot, so nothing. But that was the first time in my life that I had a woman that potentially could be my partner for life that asked me that question right from the get-go. And I was like, wow, Lord, I hear you. And that's why I always refer back to, this was the moment I kind of knew who you were and who you were from. And that's why I felt like this, I need to actually explain to her why I'm struggling.
Yeah, which is actually incredible that you felt like you could share, and that not that you just thought about, but that you actually did it, because we now know how rare that was. We've talked about that on other episodes of like how rare that is for a man to open up. But my point is how it actually molded our relationship, and how many couples we know that don't know those things because they're guarding them. And it's normal to guard them. So it's not even to shame people that haven't shared or afraid to share or afraid to go that deep. It's so normal because of the shame and everything. But there is also this other level of freedom and relational understanding that is behind those walls. And we've seen that with people that have opened up and finally been vulnerable and maybe married for many years. We've seen that happen, where we've seen couples who there's a story that was hidden and buried. They thought it was buried, but it's still coming up. Like it's there and it's showing up. It's just not showing up in ways that they wanted to show up. But we've seen that happen, where that story, once it's revealed, and how it opens up to a much more, like, a deeper and more beautiful relationship than what was possible. But also understanding how hard that can be when that wall of protection has been built up so strongly for such a long period of time. And if you hadn't shared with me, maybe you would have at some point, but it would have been different in our relationship, I think. There were things about my story that I didn't share with you till just a couple of years ago.
Yeah.
And they were places that were, even after all you had shared, there was things that I'd never spoken aloud to anybody that I finally said aloud to you. But we were 12 years into marriage.
And I recognized certain things, but I also knew that trying to force you into that was not the right way to go either. Just creating a safe place that at some point, there were times where I got deeper and I was like, okay, why is this happening? And at the time I didn't know trauma work or anything like that. But what I was really asking was like, hey, we need to get curious with this, because there's something deeper here. Like, I've gone deep with you. Like, what we're at the surface still with these specific things. And these are what partners need to be doing.
Yes.
I need to know how you are operating and vice versa, because we're made uniquely one of ones.
Yeah.
We are. But as together, we can be so much stronger. But a lot of the times we're not asking the questions. We're not getting deep enough to understand the core of someone else, to the place, this is your person,
Yeah.
and vice versa, a gift that God gave each of you. And so it's imperative, it's important, it's non-negotiable. Get close and understanding on what they're going on, the thoughts that are going through their mind. It's like, you need to know what's really going on there. And if there needs to be help done, then let's get into some work and let's get some help.
Well, but what we also know is that it's not necessarily trying to fix things either. So it's honestly, it's being able to learn how to, and I think a lot of spouses hold back because they don't want to share, because they don't want to hear what the fix is.
Yeah.
And just think this,
Yeah.
or just get over it, or just go do this and you'll be fixed. And what we know now is that sometimes just sitting and holding space for the story, not trying to fix it. And I get it, like, fixers come from a good heart, usually, of they want you to get up out of this. They want to pull you up out of it. But usually the fixer, it's about them. Like, it's uncomfortable to sit in something with someone that makes you uncomfortable. So you want to pull them out of it as fast as you can by, well, but look at how great life is now. But wait, look how everything great turned out. It doesn't actually help with those moments where someone's sharing their story. And those are the moments where you sit and you hold it, and then you just can say, thank you for sharing.
Yeah.
And I'm so sorry that that happened to you.
There's a time in the process of healing
Yeah.
where next steps are in place, but you're
Sure.
absolutely right. Especially so in my situation, and men in general, men struggle greatly with even telling their wives. They don't want to be looked at as weak or whatnot. Hey, I went through this as a kid. Like, you were a kid, man. Like, you were vulnerable. Someone took advantage of you, or whatever happened. Or you had a dad that wasn't present and you're rough around the edges. It's hard for you to be emotional, whatever it may be. It's hard for you to share that with your wife. But at the same time, what I would encourage a wife to say, and you can attest to this as well, is one of the most important factors that you did for me. You always communicated really well, but you created a very safe place for me when I was going through my own healing and whatnot. And from a man, what I'll tell all the fellas out there is like, you're not meant to hold what that's in there. This is your person. This is your lady, your wife. Like, there is nothing more strong than actually sharing the hard stuff that you went through. That was really difficult. And if you need that help, again, the wives holding that for their husbands, or vice versa, a husband, you're going to want to fix the house. You're going to want to fix this. You're going to want to fix this. That's how our mind operates a lot. You just got to hold it with her.
Yeah.
And hold her, literally hold her after that. How strong she is for being able to open up, that you're there for her, and then there will be a period of time, if she's ready to step into that healing, that there's some next steps that can take place.
Yeah, I want to just sit in that pocket for just a minute longer, because also just understanding that if your spouse opens up with a story and it's not handled well, or it's dismissed, or it's trying to fix, or just do this, or that can cause a lot of damage that can push you further away from each other, and can cause someone to, that can trigger someone to be like, see, this is why I don't tell. I'm going deeper into the shell. So it really is a thing that goes both ways, because if you have two people that haven't done any level of healing, and they don't really have that space and that capacity to hold story, or to listen to each other, or to know how to just to share and then to hold, sometimes it can be pretty messy. Mm-hmm. So it's not that this is always going to be perfect, but I think that's just the kind of the point, is like understanding the stories, like to have the courage to share, but also if you're being shared to, holding the story and just being there in it and not trying to pull them out is the best thing you can do. It's also a hard thing because it's uncomfortable for you too.
Yeah. I think looking also at just, most married couples out there should have the desire of wanting to get to know their spouse even more. And as the years go by, the marriage should continue getting better and better and better. Well, not that you don't have tough times, but when wisdom and discernment and faith and everything becomes stronger in your life, your relationship also grows with those things, is what I'm getting to. It doesn't mean that we won't have challenges, because when I went through, I went through 7 years of healing, of trauma work healing. And there were periods of time where, like, that vulnerability to me felt like I was the weakest little 7-year-old boy again. Mm-hmm. And I was so thankful I had a place to come home to that was safe for me, but I understand that not all people have that. And so what I'm getting to is trying to find that community, that one person. And if that person chooses you to validate what your point is there, you got to just hold that with them. Don't try to fix it. Just hold it with them. And how you respond can change their life, one way or another. If you respond poorly, it can be very damaging. If you respond in a really positive way, it can be the biggest step that they take for their healing. Of like, wow, I've held on to that for 25 years.
Yeah, it's really powerful. And I think in relationship, one thing we did at the couples retreat was we created space and time, and I actually had them think it through in advance of what they wanted to share, non-combative things. But then I gave them space and time to actually read to their spouse something that was maybe hard to say, because sometimes it's hard to verbalize that stuff. Like, you don't know. It's like sometimes there's stuff inside you want to share, but you just don't know how to say it. And maybe it's stuff about you, or maybe it's stuff about how you feel about them. And so we gave that space, and it was really amazing. And I set those guidelines of like, whatever they share, it's a holding. This isn't the time for the fixing. It's just the time for holding. It was so beautiful. It was really so beautiful. And that's missing. That's like such a missing thing in so many relationships, of being able to sit with intentionality to hear each other without the distractions, hear each other's hearts, and to be able to hold the space for each other, and to stay in that calm space. All this stuff we're talking about, this is like stuff that takes a lot of work. But I think my biggest thing was just even scratching the surface of maybe the first step towards building a healthier relationship is just coming back to that. We are not on different sides. We are one side. There's just two stories at work. And this could be years of work on the stories and building a healthier relationship. But for me, that just really stuck out of I feel like we keep thinking we're on different sides, and we're not. Like, we are one side, and let's continue learning each other's stories and help, like, being part of the healing process with each other so that we can see things differently. So like when you walk into a room or you're on your phone or you're doing something, and the message to me isn't, well, he's ignoring me and this is more important to him. That may have been the old messaging, but we know our stories so well that I know that that's not the message that's coming across anymore. So it just really improves, I think, just a deeper level of understanding, a deeper level of knowing, a deeper level of love, and being able to build a strong marriage together.
Something that I've done recently that I encourage couples out there to do is I've actually posted this a few times on social media, but it's just asking your partner, your spouse, your wife, your husband, a simple question. And the question that I've asked her multiple times is what are you grateful for today? And it's a very simple question, but it gives you a lot of understanding of, hey, I'm grateful for this day. I'm grateful for being here. I'm grateful to be with you. I'm grateful for my kids. I'm grateful for my health. Asking those sorts of questions, really, it opens up doors, and it opens up opportunity where you guys can get deeper just with one simple question.
Well, that's a good question. I'll tell you an even better question.
What is it?
Is tell me more.
Tell me more. Tell me more is the game changer question.
Is a game changer.
Yeah.
Instead of let's fix this, it's tell me more.
Yeah.
So there's so much more that we could talk about on that, but it was something that I really actually want to explore more of, like, what does that really mean to understand that to be able to deeper relationship and just enjoy relationship more and be closer, be able to walk through life together as one, and how that can be helpful to couples or whoever hears that message.
Key takeaways today.
My key takeaway is that there's always deeper stuff. Like, it's like we talk about this stuff in 30 minutes there's so much nuance and stuff to unpack. And so it's really just to try to encourage people to, maybe there's a little nugget that can help them think about something differently. Maybe that's their relationship. If you've been thinking, I'm in combat with my spouse and we can't seem to see eye to eye, it's like maybe that little shift of, we're not on different sides, we're on one side, but we just have two stories, and maybe just exploring that a little bit and seeing what that looks like, and seeing how that will bring you closer together, help you to kind of come to this posture of, I want to hear their heart, and I want them to hear my heart too.
That's good. My key point, I think, out of this is really one of the very first steps, in my opinion, and that is just have a conversation. Have a conversation with your spouse, and just ask them a few questions. Show them the desire that you have to want to get to know them even better, but also recognize the fact that you need to get curious, maybe with some things in your own life that need to really get some healing done there. Yeah. Because it's surface level love is really good, but when you have to get down into the swamp sometimes of that love. That love can get it, that's a little bit more difficult to navigate. So I would encourage people to, remember why you became one and to do what it takes to get to that next level.
And the work may need to start with you.
Yeah.
It may need to start with you.
Yeah.
So lots more to unpack there, but we're going to wrap it up for today. So thank you guys so much for tuning in. Please make sure you subscribe, share this episode with a friend if there's someone you know that it would resonate with. Find us at HitchFit, at SoulFit, Soul Strong. We've got so many amazing things going on. We'd love for you to be a part of our community. Reach out, let us know your thoughts, how things are landing with you. We thank you for joining us, and we will see you again on the next episode of A Few Things.